wait,
of
no,
criminals.
that's different.
You
Hold on,
were
that's
only.
different.
I
That's not
can
what we're
quote you.
talking about. No, no,
Now
no,
he's
that's not what we're
interrupting
talking
you.
about.
Now he's
No.
interrupting you.
Yes,
I
because
can
you're
quote
going
you
off on
precisely.
random crap.
I
I
can
want you to
quote you
answer my
precisely.
questions. Repeating yourself again. You're not
Because
making
that's the
arguments
only
for
possible
this.
outcome. I'm repeating
You have to
myself
make an
because it's
argument
part of
for
the
that.
equation.
You
All
have
right,
to be
I've
able
got
to
nothing else to say.
explain that, because
You
I
may
want you to
not
answer
think
my
it's
question.
relevant. You're not smart enough to know whether it's relevant or not
I
because
am.
I haven't finished my sentence, which is ultimately a Latin preposition it's a conditional precedent, right? Yeah, it's reliant on other factors. Now, in order for your question to make any coherent sense, I don't need to explain a belief. It's intuitively wrong. It's intuitively wrong.
You don't know why it's wrong.
Are you saying
that's actually really gross that you don't know why
I don't need convincing.
Explain why it is wrong.
Right, it's wrong because tomfoolery. You're a paedophile who's a danger to children. It needs to be convinced that touching a child is wrong. Yeah. I've got you.
So the part, like, with your comment that I had a problem with is that you said everybody on the panel, with no exceptions, is a pedophile. But you said this on your platform where you shared the video of our debate, right? So you're platforming the debate just the same as us. The only difference is we're on there pushing back against pedophilia, and you're just sitting and platforming it without any pushback. So I wanted to know how we kind of came to that conclusion.
How do you do, Tom? My name's Brian Allen Davis, otherwise known as Right to Reply. I'm just a small-time YouTuber, independent journalist. If people want to come and check me out, would you like to introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, my name's TOMFOOLERY. I have TOMFOOLERY show on YouTube. I stream on YouTube.
No full legal name or anything, no?
No, not this time.
Okie dokie. Right, okay. Right, so the debate you jumped on with all your pals. Did you enter it in good faith? That's my first question.
Yes, I would say yes.
Right, so you were willing to have your mind changed by maps or paedophiles or what? I'm just going to call them all paedophiles, all right? I'm not going to start calling them maps. So you were willing to have your mind changed by paedophiles if their arguments were sufficient enough and better than yours.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
You were willing to have your mind changed about adults having sex with children.
Yeah, of course.
You were.
Yeah, of course.
Right then, so the only good that could have come out of that possibly was paedophiles getting a better ride and the criminalisation of what their aspect of life being decriminalised. That was the only possible good that could have possibly come out of that total debate, isn't it? As far as the paedophiles were concerned.
Yeah, as far as they were concerned, yeah.
Right, so everybody in there that entered in good faith were willing to have their minds changed by paedophiles in regards to having adults having sex with children. Correct?
I don't know. I'm not speaking for everybody else. I'm speaking for myself.
What I'm saying is everybody like you who entered in good faith were willing to have their mind changed by paedophiles in regards to adults having sex with children. Correct?
Yeah, you would think any rational human being would do the same, yeah.
Right, so that was the difference between me and you. A, I never got invited to any such panel. B, if I did, I would have outlined from the outset that there's no winners here. The only winners here are for the paedophiles, right? Yeah. The only possible good that could come from this, other than discussing how such criminals should be prosecuted more severely. I mean, during the entire debate or conversation or whatever you wish to call it, did you or anyone mention the death penalty for such criminals?
No, I don't believe in the death penalty for such criminals.
It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. It's a aspect of life that's possible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a death penalty now for criminals. Yeah.
Yeah, other people might have mentioned it as well. I don't know, but I know that I.
Oh, so you're saying it was mentioned?
No, I said other people might have mentioned it. I don't know, but I know that I.
You don't know if it was mentioned?
No, I don't know.
All right. What about any other type of sentencing for these types of criminals?
No, that wasn't what the topic was about.
So there wasn't any other. So it was. So the criminal aspect of their life wasn't really discussed at all, was it? we're talking about defending children here. We're talking about looking after children and keeping predators to children away from them. So when a paedophile identifies themselves, the number one priority should be the child, right? Yeah, like the
Hmm.
potential child that they could end up abusing. Yeah,
Yep.
not the paedophile, not
Yep.
not their feelings, not the adult that could end up possibly abusing the child. I mean, yes, fair enough if they've come forward and they've expressed themselves and their criminal desires, right? Yeah, then yes, they should be isolated and professionals should work out the best way to keep them away from children. Right? That should be the number one priority. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So we're in much agreement in as far as tackling
I
paedophilia, but I
love
didn't
you,
hear
Vaughn.
any of this pushback on the night. You call yourself a right-wing progressive, correct?
Yeah. Just like I don't think it actually means anything. That's kind of the point in saying it.
Okay. All right. So you call yourself a right-wing progressive that doesn't actually mean anything, but don't you think that harsher sentences towards criminals, right, who prey upon the most weak and vulnerable in what you'd probably call society, correct?
Yeah.
Like women and children, it's the job of alpha males or intelligent alpha males, right, that haven't got the physical strength to look after the weak and vulnerable in what is called society, correct?
Uh-huh.
It's their job first and upmost. It's not their job to look after the paedophiles first and upmost, is it? Not the predators towards the most weak and vulnerable.
I mean, it's their job as well. Yeah, of course.
You're saying it's their job to what?
Like it's everybody's job within society to like look after the most weak and vulnerable.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, but like
Yeah.
predators towards children shouldn't come before children, correct? In any walk of life.
Yeah, of course.
Right, I'm just saying I didn't hear any of this pushback on the night. It was more all about sympathy and gaining help for the paedophile.
That's not true at all. It was about the immorality of the situation and why we shouldn't do it. So you're just saying like, well, because it sounds like you're disagreeing.
It's already a
that-
criminal aspect of life. It's like if you have
So
got
what?
offered
That's not what
today.
we're talking about. We're not talking about
Yeah,
criminal.
but if you got
keep taking
offered
it back.
today to join a panel, if you got
Hold
offered
on,
today
hold
to join
on.
a panel
I was in the
on
middle of a
pro.
sentence. Hold on. I'm
Okay,
in the
go on,
middle of a
go on.
sentence. So
Yeah, but you were repeating yourself. Go on.
we're in the middle of talking about, or we were on there talking about the morality of the situation. Things become illegal because we think they're immoral. So we're jumping like 10 steps ahead of where you are, where you're
That's
like,
not
oh,
true.
well, this is just the outcome. We're way ahead of you and saying, well, let's go all the way over here and talk about why it should be illegal and why it is wrong.
Yeah, but things that are illegal are not just illegal because they're immoral, right? And
Of course,
can be
but-
illegal because they're dangerous.
But in this case, that is what it like it's illegal because we think it's immoral and we want to protect
And because
children
it's
from
a
it.
danger to children, and not just because it's immoral, right?
What do you mean?
Children,
The danger to the children is what makes it immoral, bro.
yes, but it's like speeding is not necessarily immoral. It's just a danger
Yes, but in this case,
to other
saying
people
that
on
it is
the road
immoral
and this and that.
and
You
that
can
it
know
is
because you could be
illegal.
the best. You could be the best number one Formula One driver in the world, right? Yeah, but this your skill on the road doesn't cater for other people's lack of skill. So it
Yes.
doesn't matter how skillful you are on
I-
the road. The speeding limits are there because it's dangerous regardless of your capabilities.
Right. Not all laws are moral. Correct. But in this
Right,
case, we
so-
are talking about a law that is because of morality. So
Not necessarily, only partly. It's also these are dangerous criminals.
yes, that's the moral part you're talking about. Yes, of course, that is
Right then, so
important.
if you got morally, if you got offered to join a panel today for pro or anti drive-by shootings,
Uh-huh.
would you join it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and you'd be willing to have your mind changed then in good faith and be persuaded by those who commit drive-by shootings that if they had a persuasive argument, you'd be willing to bend the knee to it.
Yes, of course.
All right, and what possible good could come from this debate?
Well, if I'm wrong, then I would want to admit that I'm wrong, and if others are wrong, I should turn around and try to persuade that they're wrong. Try to persuade them that they are wrong as well.
Okay, and do you agree that drive-by shootings is already a criminal, illegal aspect of life that's already been adjudicated?
Yes.
Right, so it's already been the matter's already been settled. We already know it's wrong, like categorically. It's already been proven to be wrong. What is there to discuss other than trying to decriminalize what mankind already knows to be wrong?
Yeah, sure. So do you think that there's like an element on in the political discourse that is trying to normalize pedophilia?
Absolutely. Do you think there isn't?
No, so regardless of whether or not I do or don't, it like we would want to push back against that if that's the case. There has to be another group of people. If there's one group that is normalizing something, there has to be another group that pushes back against that and makes sure that it stays stigmatized. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I'm saying that what happened on that panel the other night, right? Yeah, only assisted in normalizing. It didn't assist in pushing back at all whatsoever because you're talking to criminals. You're talking to criminals about their criminal aspect of life. The only good that could possibly come from that, as far as uh, the criminals are concerned, is that their way of life becomes more legitimate. You're not going to make their way of life by talking about it anywhere
Oh, I'm
in
not
the
trying to
social.
change their way of life.
You're not going to make paedophilia more of a crime by discussing it and debating it ever. That's not possible, right? Yeah? It's already a crime. The only thing you're going to do is desensitize,
Well, so
make people more accustomed to this type of conversation. So
if
you're desensitizing and legitimizing paedophilia just by
bro,
participating on the debate.
you're just like repeating your arguments over and over. You got to engage
All
with
right,
what I'm
okay.
saying.
Do you not agree that you are assisting in the desensitization program by just participating in such a panel?
No, I think that if I'm going on there and I'm making better arguments for why it should be stigmatized and why it is immoral, then I am doing the opposite of that. I am stigmatizing that thing. Do you
No.
disagree with that?
Yes, because you didn't push back once for any more harsher sentences towards these types
Wait,
of
no, that's
criminals.
different.
You
Hold on,
were
that's
only
different.
I
That's not
can
what we're
quote you.
talking about. No, no,
Now
no,
he's
that's not what we're
interrupting
talking
you.
about.
Now he's
No.
interrupting you.
Yes,
I can
because you're
quote you
going off on
precisely.
random crap.
I
I
can
want you to
quote you
answer my
precisely.
question.
I can quote you precisely. Right, yeah, stating that you want like better
Hold on, that's
conditions
not
for
my question.
paedophiles.
Answer my
You want better
question.
conditions for paedophiles that come forward, don't you?
Answer my question. Why are you pivoting? Why are you pivoting? Answer my question.
Well, you have to rephrase your question. I thought I
Okay.
was answering it.
If
I was
I
rudely
am going
interrupted.
on there and making a better argument for why it is immoral, you're going off on
Yeah,
walls
I
again.
was
I'm
answering your
not saying
question. You
I didn't.
interrupted
No, no,
me.
no, no. You weren't. You started talking about how it's not going to become more illegal. I didn't ask you that. I'm talking about stigma, social stigma right now. So
Yes,
make an
and
argument
my
about
the start
social
of my
stigma.
answer, the start of my answer may not have been where you liked it to have been, but I would have incorporated a full, complete
Well, I'd
answer if you'd let me
appreciate it if
finish.
you did that sooner instead of talking about unrelated stuff.
Yeah, but it's not unrelated. It's part of the whole picture. I've analysed your entire participation upon that panel, so like it requires a more full, complex answer. If you wanna. Yeah, you probably used to dealing with fucking idiots, man. I understand that, but I am not one. I've analysed your full, complete participation, taking out little segments here and there to suit my narrative. I would never do that to you. I'm asking you now, legitimately, do you not think it's fair for every layman in the world that witnessed your exhibit to call everybody on there a paedophile? Do you not think it's fair for the layman to do that?
I would like you to answer my question first. After all of that, you still have not answered my question.
Yes, because if you answer mine, it incorporates an answer to
Okay.
yours.
Okay.
Do you think it's fair for every layman that's not into psychiatry and all this shit, right? Yeah, that has observed and witnessed your video, going, "What the fuck is all this? Look at all these pedos trying to normalise and legitimise pedos for pedos. No matter who's on this panel." What a weird thing to do in the first place. Do you not think it's fair for
Well,
all the laymen in the world that have observed this?
part of
Not
that,
debate me,
yes.
bros, or anything like that. Just everyday, casual YouTubers, customers that are just looking for something to watch that
Yeah,
stumbled across this and gone, what the
sure.
fuck?
So part
And
of that,
called you all
yes.
paedophiles. Do you think
Sure.
it's fair for them to have called you all paedophiles?
I think it's fair for them to say it's weird. I don't think it's fair for them to infer that we have that we have sexual attractions to children when we're on there pushing back against sexual attractions to children. No, I don't
Okay,
think that's
and
fair. I
I'm
think
trying to
that's
explain
brain dead.
why I think it's fair. I think it's fair, right? Yeah, because everybody on there can only possibly ever, right? Yeah, in the best case scenario, which is absolutely terrible. It's the most fucking it's the most stupid idea possible. The only possible outcome from this is making a better life for pedophiles.
You're just repeating yourself again. You're not
Because
making
that's the
arguments
only
for
possible
this.
outcome. I'm repeating
You have to
myself
make an
because it's
argument
part of
for
the
that.
equation.
You
All
have
right,
to be
I've
able
got
to
nothing else to say.
explain that.
If I'm repeating myself and I've got nothing else to say, you're gonna have
Well,
to
then
ask me
shut
another
the
question.
hell up then. Why did you come
You're gonna
on
have to
here
ask me
to
another
just
question.
repeat the same thing? No, I've asked you the same question. I'm going to ask you the same thing again. If we are arguing for
I've
it
asked
being
and answered.
immoral, how would that help destigmatize it if we are arguing for it to be immoral? How can that destigmatize it?
Because you're participating in a expedition that can only ever provide an outcome that is beneficial to paedophiles.
Okay, explain that. How is
I
that
don't know
the
how
case?
to explain it any better than that.
How is that the case? How is that the case?
Because it's
Explain that.
already a criminal aspect of life that's
That's
already
not relevant.
catered.
That's not
Hang on a
relevant.
minute, you're interrupting me, man.
Yes, because
You
I
may
want you to
not
answer
think
my
it's
question.
relevant. You're not smart enough to know whether it's relevant or not
I
because
am.
I haven't finished my sentence.
I
haven't
don't
finished
care.
my sentence.
Start with
I haven't
something
finished my
relevant.
sentence
Don't
and you've
start
interrupted
with irrelevant information. Start with relevant information.
me. Okay, wow. Like
I've
you're
asked
gonna
you
have
the
to
same
ask.
question like 5 times and you're not answering it. So yes,
I
I
have
want you to
answered
get to the point
and you
at
keep
this point.
interrupting me. You keep interrupting me because you're scared of my answers.
If I stay quiet this time and you don't answer it, we're gonna just have to end the call because like you're not engaging with me whatsoever.
I understand
just
if you're
repeating
uncomfortable.
yourself.
I understand if you're uncomfortable with my answers and won't let me
Okay,
finish.
I will stay quiet.
Okay?
Go ahead and answer.
Right. Ask your question again so it's clear and precise.
Yes, so you're saying just by going on there, we are almost like enabling this sort of behavior and normalizing it. And I'm saying if we go on there and we make better arguments for why this is bad, we should be stigmatizing it. That's what most people would think if the rational outcome would be if they are making better arguments for why this is bad, they are actually stigmatizing this, not destigmatizing it. So I want to know how would we be destigmatizing it in that case?
Okay, and the magic word was that you said there was if, a little simple 2-letter word, right? Which is ultimately a Latin preposition it's a conditional precedent, right? Yeah, it's reliant on other factors. Now, in order for your question to make any coherent sense, you and the rest of the panel would have had to provide better arguments, right? Yeah, which none of you did, in order to substantiate its criminal aspect of life. None of you did that as far as I am concerned as a critic, right? Yeah, as a critic that watched that and observed that, right? Yeah, or anybody achieved on that show or on that exposition was making a better life for pedophiles.
So let's have that conversation then. So what is it about my framework of why this is immoral and how I explained it numerous times about how this has negative outcomes for kids, how this causes trauma, how this makes it harder for them to engage with other people and how it makes it harder for them to have relationships as they get older. All of the things that I explained on that panel, you're saying that's not a good argument. So explain why that's wrong.
Oh no, I agree that may be a good argument, but the right sort of punishment for that is probably let's start with the death penalty and work forwards from there.
Well,
what's the ultimate punishment for abusing a child sexually in any which way, shape, or form? Right there. So we've got the death penalty. That is on the cards under American law. There are states that still exhibit that old English law today, like Texas and whatnot. Right. Yeah. So there are the death penalties out there. So it is possible in certain states, at the very least, right, yeah, to implement the death penalty for such characters. So that's where we should start at the very least for punishing such characters. If that wasn't mentioned on that debate panel that night, then no one was doing anything for the children as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I'm gonna ask my question again. If you
I'll give you the same answer.
Okay, if you don't disagree with my arguments, we're not talking about legality. You keep pivoting to legality. That's not the conversation. So if you want to keep talking about that, that's fine. Go somewhere else and talk about that. That's not what we're here talking about. That's not what we were on the panel talking about. You're upset that we didn't talk about something completely off topic on a panel that wasn't about that thing.
I'm not upset. I'm providing you my criticism, and you don't have to like the criticism, and you don't have to like that. You don't have to like the fact that it's or factor that it's focusing upon legalities, and you've already admitted in in this conversation, but legal, whatever's legal, ultimately comes from what is moral and what people consider to be moral.
Yes.
So I'm actually providing the most proficient moralistic argument possible in this
No,
equation.
so you're actually going
by your own
backwards.
standards.
I'm saying, hey, let's start at the beginning and explain why this is wrong. And you're saying, no, let's just say it's wrong and talk about punishments. And I'm saying that, okay, that doesn't convince anybody that it's wrong. You're just saying, let's talk about punishments. And
If you need to be convinced, if you need to, if you do you need to be, that's what I'm saying. You need to be convinced that adults raping children is ethically or morally wrong in some which way, shape, or form. I don't need to be convinced. I already know intuitively. Wrong? Can I finish my sentence? I already know intuitively that that's wrong. I don't need anybody to educate me on that. Do you? Well,
how do you know it? You can't just know something intuitively. That's not a thing. So how do you know?
Yes, you can. Look up. All right. So what does intuitive mean?
It means that you know just by like nature, like just by being here.
There you go then. I know intuitively that adults raping children is wrong. I don't need anyone to educate me on that factor of life. Why do you?
So what if I say you're lying? How do you tell me that you're not lying?
I don't. Okay, if you say I'm lying, I tell you I don't require any approbation in life, any approval. Now what?
Okay, well then that's the end of the conversation. You can't explain your beliefs. So
I don't need to explain a belief. It's intuitively wrong. It's intuitively wrong.
You don't know why it's wrong.
Are you saying
that's actually really gross that you don't know why child molestation is wrong? That's right.
Yeah, but you're saying you need to be convinced.
Yeah,
you're saying you need to be convinced.
You don't know why it's wrong. Yes, of course.
No, of course I know why it's wrong.
Then explain it. Why is it wrong? You're just saying it's intuitive. It's not
intuitive.
Yes, it's
intuitively wrong.
I can explain why it's wrong. Then explain it. If you can explain why it's wrong, then explain why it's wrong. Stop telling me you just know it's wrong.
Right. The difference between me and you is I intuitively know it's wrong and can explain why, but let me finish. You don't know why it's wrong and you need to be convinced why it's wrong. Between me and you in this world, one of us is a danger to children and the other one isn't. Right, yeah? I know it's intuitively wrong to harm a child. And then there's B, there's you, who doesn't know that it's intuitively wrong to harm a child.
Well, you answer the question.
Who do you think out of me and you? Who do you think out of me and you? Who do you think out of me and you will professionals look at as a danger towards children?
The one who can't explain why it's wrong. Explain why it's wrong.
No, you're the one that needs convincing.
I already explained. Yes, because I can explain why.
I don't need convincing.
That's because you're not a rational being. You just said
you're irrational.
It's just wrong just because it's wrong. I am using rational thought processes and explaining why it's wrong and what the outcomes are that are harmful. You can't even get that far. You're just saying it is wrong because it's wrong. Then you do
you're
it.
Regurgitating.
Then explain it. I've asked you 3 times to explain it. Explain why it's wrong. Then you said you could do it, so do it.
Right. I've just explained to you. I intuitively know why it's wrong.
Yeah, I don't care.
The difference between me and you. Why are you interrupting me? I heard everything you had to say.
Because you're not explaining. I don't care about your dumb rambles. I want you to answer the question. Explain why it is wrong.
Right, it's wrong because tomfoolery. You're a paedophile who's a danger to children. It needs to be convinced that touching a child is wrong.
It's not relevant. It's not relevant. That's about what I expected. That was good. What's up, Quayman? I didn't really watch any of his content, so I don't know, but that guy yeah, so yeah, that was fun. That was good.